Thank you, Trasa. And the sessions now are, the traditional sessions now are every Thursday and Saturday. And you've got JT's House Party, open stage hosted by Julian Taylor with Mel Diogrades. On the next one is Monday, the 24th. And tonight at Dora's, it's Stephen Stanley with Tosh Sawada and Josh Cockerell. And on next Friday, the 14th, it's the Tembo Conti Big Band. And next Saturday, it's Jay Amar. And tomorrow, Jazz at the Dora from 4 to 7. It's David Oxapinti with Michael Murley. And on January the 16th, it's Roberto Occipinti Trio with guest Reg Schwager. So there you go, lots of great music at Dora Kyo's on the Danforth. And folks, we mentioned earlier in the show that we were going to have a very special guest today, and so we have. And I'd like to welcome to the show our new ambassador to Canada from Ireland, Ray Bassett. This will be his second time on the show. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning, Eamon.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and to all the listeners.
And Ambassador, you're just back from Dublin. How was your trip over the holidays there?
It was fine. I mean, it was difficult getting there. I got stuck in Heathrow for a short time, but maybe I was one of the lucky ones. But we weren't affected in our house by the water shortages and the weather, which was initially bad, turned very, very mild. So it wasn't too bad a trip at all.
So some tough times still over there, and elections coming up, and a lot of Fianna Fáilers retiring by the looks of it.
Well, the mood isn't great at the moment, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the domestic demand and the shops is still very subdued, and we're hoping for a better 2011 than we had 2010, which I don't think will go down in the history of Ireland as a particularly good year for the country.
That's for sure. Anyway, onwards and upwards. And Ambassador, it's great. We got some good news in the last couple of days from the government of Canada about visas, and I know you've been working very hard with Immigration Minister Kenny, and it seems like they've been listening.
Yeah, we've been in discussions with the Canadian government on and off for the last few months, and one of the main priorities, certainly for the embassy, is to improve the lot of Irish people coming out to Canada. And let's be honest, the job opportunities in Ireland aren't great at the moment, so we're going to have people coming to Canada. So we've been in discussion, and we've asked for a series of changes, some of which they've agreed to. I think for people who are living in Canada, and who are here particularly on the one-year program, I think the change that they're allowing now for people will be entitled to apply for 2 years on the working holiday visa, and they can do it from Canada, which is a big change. You can also make your application direct to the Canadian government. There won't be a need for an intermediary organisation. Now, I know USIT did a good job in recent years in helping people and getting their forms right. But it's felt that people are probably well able to make their own applications now, so people will be able to apply directly to the Canadian government. And also the quota which had been put aside for university students has been merged in to the general quota, so that the 4,000 visas which were issued or which may be issued next year will be open to everybody regardless of educational qualifications. So they all add up to an easing of the arrangements, and we hope that that we will continue to press for further easings. One thing we would love to see is an increase in the quota, because if Irish people are going to emigrate, I personally would think that Canada is a good country to come to.
Absolutely, and I believe the number last year was around 4,000, and you're hoping that they might even increase that this year, but no commitments yet.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Jason Kenny directly on it, and I got some of the Irish parliamentarian group in Parliament to lobby both the Immigration Minister and also the Foreign Ministry, because the Foreign Ministry actually run the one-year programme, but under the auspices of immigration. And I asked that the quota be increased. The quota was increased to 4,000 this year, and essentially it was a bit of a surprise when I asked for a further increase, but if you don't ask, you won't get. And in fact, this year, in 2010, we got 4,227. We actually breached our quota, but some of the other countries didn't get their quota, didn't fulfill their quota, so we got some of their quota. And on that basis, we've asked the Canadian government to increase it for 2011. Now, they may not initially increase it at the very start, but we'd be confident that we'll actually get more in in 2011 than we got in 2010.
So fingers crossed on the
fingers
numbers
crossed,
there.
Because as I said, I think it's much better for people to have the opportunity to come and get employment in Canada than to wait a year in Ireland when a job mightn't turn up for them, you know.
Right, and of course these new rules, Ambassador, they kick in on January 18th. Now, just a question. Yeah, I know some clarification still needs to come once those rules are up and on the websites on January 18th. But it is your understanding at this point in time that anyone that is actually here on the 1 year right now can apply to get the second year. And while they can apply, it's not necessarily guaranteed. But your feeling is that most of them should get it.
Well, that's my understanding of it. It's the Canadian government actually operated, so I can't give commitments for Canada. Right. But in our discussions with them, we certainly have pushed that people in Canada should be able to apply for the second year, and that they should. Before this, people would have to leave often under several of the schemes out of Canada. But we also asked that they be able to stay in Canada and make the application online. The applications will actually all be made to the Canadian Embassy in Paris. Now, this is an interim arrangement because they'll be able to, they have this capacity to process them. So everybody's entitled to apply. On the 18th of January, our understanding is that the Canadian Embassy in Dublin will put up all the new regulations in detail, and people should, if they want an extra year in Canada, should keep a very, very close eye on that website. And also the DFAT website in Ottawa. Now, we'll put up the arrangements immediately. We get them from the Canadians, but the Canadians are the people who are setting the rules and are operating it, so they are the primary source on it.
Right. And I know you and I spoke in the past, and even when you were at home, I know times are tough and there's not a lot of spare money, but there are some Irish immigration centres throughout the States, but there isn't any in Canada.
Yeah, actually, Eamon, this is something that I've taken over from my previous job. My previous job, I dealt with the Irish communities abroad, and there are Irish immigration centres in the United States, several of them in New York, 2 in Boston, for instance. There are Irish immigration centres in Australia, and there are welfare centres in Britain, and they all receive some support from the Irish government. Now, the one thing the Irish government hasn't cut in the recent budget was support for our people abroad. And, if we're going to get more people in to Canada, we can't just dump them in Canada. We have to improve our support system here. And, Eamon, as I said before, the initiative that you took was fantastic in terms of the job website. But in the end, that's a huge amount of work for anybody to take on, particularly if they're taking it on a part-time basis. So I would love to see, and I've been lobbying in Dublin for government support for an immigration or welfare centre established in Toronto, where new people arrive and could come along and get advice on immigration issues, could get advice maybe on where the jobs are, and would be funded partly by the Irish government, but also hopefully that the centre will be able to get support from Irish organisations in Canada and maybe able to do some fundraising itself. Because I think if you had a centre like that, and I would see Toronto as the obvious place for it, because that's where most our young Irish people are coming to, it would be a huge resource for the new people arriving. And whereas I know the clubs are all helping and assisting at the moment, but to have a dedicated centre with paid staff to do that, I think would be the second part of that sort of plan to assist Irish people. First of all, get them in, but also not to just get them in and leave them there, but give them some level of support when they arrive in. And as I say, the Irish government's already doing that in Australia, in the United States and Britain. And when I was home, I spoke to them and they said, well, we'll consider the application. We can't guarantee anything in the present climate, but I think we'd have a good case. Well,
I think it certainly would be money well spent. And just to clarify there what you mentioned earlier, Ambassador, that website that's up there, that was something, it was an initiative, not of mine, it was an initiative of the Ireland Canada Chamber of Commerce, and fair play to Declan Tracy of Gillaroo, who took it upon himself pro bono to do that website for the Chamber, irishjobs.ca, and a lot of people have been helped by it. And of course, we will post on that that website as soon as we get more information, all the news about the visa changes, and which is all for the good. So, Ambassador, just keep doing what you're doing with the Canadian government there, and Jason Kinney, bring him out for a few pints of Guinness and make sure he's listening to the gospel according to Ray Bassett, will you? Okay,
Eamon. Actually, as I said, as far as I'm concerned, it's our number one priority. It's because it's one thing where I think you can make a difference, and if we make a difference, and we make a difference in a few people's lives, it's well worth it. And if we can make a difference in a few hundred people's lives, it'll be a fantastic thing to do. And also all of us who are living in Canada, and I regard myself as part of the Irish community in Canada, we've got to do what we can to help these people when they arrive and to help them get in. They'll revitalise our own community here. And as I say, it's much better for these people to come over and get experience and work in Canada, and then they have the option when times improve in Ireland of staying here or going back. And I think both countries benefit. I
totally agree. Any of the new people we see coming, they're such a great asset to our community here. They're working on various committees. I know the GA is just thrilled with a lot of the new blood, and it's going to be great for our community overall.
Absolutely, Eamon. I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, well, all the best for the new year.
All the best, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Slán Anish.
Slán.
Bye-bye. There you go, folks. Our new ambassador, who is really settled in, doing a great job in Ottawa for us. And another thing to mention here is on the 20th of January, the Ireland Canada Chamber of Commerce is having an information night for the new arrivals, and people need to register for that. There's over 75 of the new arrivals. Actually, I think at last count it was about 85 registered for that night on Thursday, January the 20th at PJ O'Brien's in the Pat Quinn Lounge from 6 to 8, where they will be getting a lot of information that hopefully will help them. And I'd like to, hats off to the Ireland Canada Chamber of Commerce, but also in particular to Declan Tracy, who put a subcommittee together and is just doing a wonderful job on that. And I know they have some great plans, and they're even the new arrivals are going to be even having a ski trip to Blue Mountain in February, and so lots of good things happening. And anyone that wants to go to that event, they should register online at iccccto.com if you go to the Chamber website and find out more on that. And if there's companies out there that would like to see if they could hire any people, please come along, register, or give us a call at the Chamber at 621-7373, 416-621-7373. And later in the day, on the Chamber website and also irishcanadamag.com website, we'll have the link about the new rules for the visas going up on those websites. And the new rules kick in on January the 18th. And I would suggest that anyone who really wants to get that extension, don't mess around. Get your paperwork in as quickly as you can. Get online, do it, because first in the gate usually gets the worm. And it's an awful long website, so I won't even try to give you the whole details on the website, but on the page on the website. But if you go to www.canadainternational.gc.ca/Ireland and actually look for the International Experience Canada page, you'll get it. And if not, click into the Chamber website or Irish Canada Mag later today, and we'll have it up there. So there you go. Great news. Great work by the embassy, new ambassador Ray Bassett and his staff, Hillary and Paula and all the gang up there in Ottawa. So fair play. So it's all good news. I talked to a few new arrivals yesterday who were beginning to run out of time, and they got this news, and it was like a weight lifted from their heads. And also thanks to Wendy Curran for passing on that information to us as well. So thank you, Wendy. All right, back to some music here. And this is a new CD I got from Quinlan Road Records, actually from Lorena McKenna herself, just before the Christmas. And this is her latest CD. And this is unusual in that it's basically all Irish songs, whereas in the past she would have had a real mixture of just great Celtic music. But I love this version her version of it's from The Wind That Shakes the Barley. Remember that great movie? That's the name of her CD, and this one is Down by the Sally Gardens. Hopefully you will like it.